been a German. Welcome back to the Shirtless Plantain Show, the AFCON edition, along with On the Whistle, our lovely partners. Alasdair obviously is still in the Côte d'Ivoire, soaking up all the sun and, having a whale of a time while some of us are fighting storms and whatever else. Alasdair, what's up, man?
But let me not lie, it's so good to be in the warmth. Let me not lie. I like even I like. I mean, Abidjan is hot. Even Yamoussoukro today, it's like 36 degrees, and
Oh,
I
wow.
think, oh man, this is strife. Like it's hot, blah blah blah. And then I just think, I could be back in the UK. I could be freezing.
Yeah,
I could be
yeah.
wet. And suddenly I'm like, actually, I'll take 36 degrees. I'll take the sun. This is it's a good time, man. It's a good time.
Honestly speaking, so we're recording this a day after Ghana and Ivory Coast have effectively been eliminated, even though it's not confirmed yet. It's not looking good for them. Alistair, where do we start? I mean, because the last time we recorded was just before the match day two um, fixtures. So I suppose that's the best way. That's the best place to start. But I mean, so much has happened since last Thursday that I almost just kind of want to talk about Ghana and Ivory Coast, but I know we've got so much to cover.
Nah, man, the other stuff doesn't matter, man. All we need to do is cook those two countries.
Honestly. But I suppose we can start an Ivory Coast group anyway. So Equatorial Guinea have been, to my mind, and probably not to you, but to my mind, maybe the biggest surprise for me this AFCON, because they can't seem to stop scoring goals. Like they genuinely can't at all. And I don't know, I don't know how we explain the AFCON to somebody that's never watched AFCON before. But our right back is the top scorer in the AFCON right now. Alistair, please help me make sense of it.
Well, I'll help you make sense of it. First game,
Yeah,
Equatorial Guinea, draw 1-1 with Nigeria.
yeah,
Day before their second game against Guinea-Bissau, I interview Emilio Nsue.
yeah.
Next day, he scores a hat trick. Game after that, he scores 2 goals. Easy done, man. You just need to be interviewed by me.
Yeah,
But
but you know
but in
what?
all seriousness, in all seriousness, it is remarkable. Like you said, like it was one of the most shocking things. Like
Yeah,
coming into the tournament, I knew Equatorial Guinea were like a really good, solid side. Like I thought they would go through, but I didn't like whether second or third. Definitely not first. I didn't see them scoring this many goals. I think it's been brilliant to watch, brilliant to see. And Nsue is amazing because yeah, like you said, he's an interesting guy because he came through all the youth ranks in Spain. Kind of born in Mallorca,
yeah.
grew up playing there. I think his dad is Equatorial Guinean, his mom is Mallorcan, and then he kind of gets to he's played for every youth level of Spain. He's won the under 21 Euros, and then it's kind of coming up to the Olympics in 2012, and it's kind of him and Bojan are the two kind of Spanish stars, the youngsters, and then he surprisingly just
Mhm.
doesn't get picked. And then after he doesn't get picked, he then essentially immediately goes and plays for Equatorial Guinea. He's kind of like, nah, screw this. Like, Spain's not going to pick me. I'm going to go play for Equatorial Guinea. On his debut, his competitive debut, he's made the captain and he scores a hat trick. Okay. But then, because Equatorial
He
Guinea
can't help
didn't
himself.
get his, yeah, he can't help himself. But then Equatorial Guinea didn't get his paperwork right. And so that game was so he was technically ineligible. So they technically lost that game. So those 3 goals don't are like have been struck off the record. So he's their top goal scorer already of all time, and he should have an extra 3 goals. It's genuinely remarkable. Like his story is incredible. Like you say, like he started off as a striker, and then at Mallorca, Michael Laudrup, the great Danish player and coach, essentially told him, "You're a shit finisher."
Yeah.
So I'm gonna make you a winger and then eventually a fullback, and that's what he's played for almost his whole career, except for Equatorial Guinea, who he's the top goal scorer. He's the
So,
legend.
so do you think he's the do you think this is just him rebelling at this point now? He's just like, yeah, you know what, I've been holding back for so long. Let me actually show them what I'm about. And he unfortunately, Guinea and Ivory Coast have had to pay the price
Yeah,
for
but
Michael
like
Laudrup.
yeah, exactly. I don't. But the crazy thing is, he still plays as a defender. He plays in the
Yeah,
third tier of Spanish football, and he plays as a
yeah,
center back or a right back. Like
yeah,
what? But then he comes and it's not just the AFCON. Like the last World Cup qualifiers, he scored both their goals and both their 1-0 wins. Like
yeah.
he is inevitable. It's remarkable. I
And
absolutely
that's
love it. It's brilliant.
and that's the thing. People like I think AFCON is probably the tournament where I look at and think every single country's best player, more than any other tournament, seems to take the piss. And I don't mean take the piss in the sense that, um, they don't respect their teammates, but I mean like they'll be doing things that you never even knew they could do.
Yeah,
It's the
yeah,
one
it's
tournament.
wild.
Like I saw Mo Salah like genuinely in midfield, like dropping into the pivot sometimes. Thinking, bro, this
Yep.
just doesn't happen. Like, what are you doing here? Like, seriously, you know. But yeah, I mean, I suppose on to the next game. I'm happy to talk about this, but you know, a lot of people thought, you know, Nigeria were cooked against Ivory Coast, but watching Nigeria for as long as I have, and just knowing what Nigerians are like, right? Pride and Nigeria are so synonymous with each other. And it's a thing where the better the team is, Nigeria seem to play better. And it's based on pride. It's not because they essentially think, oh, we don't want to get embarrassed. It's more about, well, these guys think they're good. Let's show them, you know, who really is good here. Kind of that's more what it is, and it's an arrogance thing, you know. So Ivory Coast here, they've got, you know, a really well balanced team and this that and the other. Nigeria, like, well, who cares? We're Nigerian. You know, that's pretty much what it
Yep.
is.
Yep.
What do you think?
Well, like, oh yeah, I mean, to be fair, I gotta give Nigeria credit, man. That
Yeah,
game against Cote d'Ivoire, they were brilliant. Like, they
yeah,
just perfect game plan, moved to the back three, kind of accepted, like, hey, our midfield shit, theirs is great, so let's just ignore that. Like, we'll just work
yeah,
around it. It was defensively so solid. I'll be honest, I didn't watch the Guinea-Bissau game because I was watching the Ivorian game yesterday, so, but I didn't hear great things. But like they got the job done, came second. But yeah,
yeah,
Nigeria are wild because suddenly with all these huge teams, Egypt looking terrible, Cote d'Ivoire maybe going out as well. Like suddenly, like I was looking at some betting places, some like odds and
yeah,
stuff. Suddenly, Nigeria are the third favorites for this tournament. I'm like, what? How?
yeah.
Like this is what kind of sorcery is this? I don't get it. Like honestly, it's crazy.
So here's the thing. I think this suits Nigeria down to the ground. I really do. I think us not being in the spotlight of being one of the favourites, probably just we can carry on doing our thing, and our performances are showing that. You know, like that 3-4-3. I won't lie to you. I have to give our coach some credit because he's looked at it and thought, okay, I can do something with these players if I suppose let my pride go a little bit and change things up. And we'll get to the second game. So we'll get to the final game that Nigeria played also yesterday in the group, but I think he's found a really good balance of the creativity and the defensive solidity as well there, I can't lie to you, I'm very very pleased. But after that, I was like, okay, cool. Nigeria are in a great position. Like Ivory Coast need to win the next game, and if they don't, well, you know, it's looking bad for them. But to my mind, I kind of felt as if we were already through, if I'm being honest. But yeah, I think onto one of the, you know, best games I suppose so far. Match day 2 was Egypt Ghana. Um, what the hell happened?
Bro, this is the wild thing is I've almost even forgotten about that game because of all the nonsense that's come after that. That game
Yeah,
was brilliant. Like
yeah,
it was just so like perfect of like it felt like such a wonderful AFCON game because on the one
yeah.
hand you had Mohamed Kudus like turning
Just
up,
fantastic.
star boy, unbelievable, like taking the game by the scruff of the neck in a way that no one else at this tournament has been able to.
Nope,
Just been like,
nope.
I'm here, like I'm here, I'm him. And then you have at the other end, like the defense, like giving away these absolutely ludicrous goals to get Egypt back
And
into it. And then this is all whilst like Mo Salah is getting injured and coming off, and then people like actually being kind of happy about it in Egypt. I think
yeah,
that's one of the things that's been quite interesting about this tournament is we've seen I think Mo Salah has always been criticized by people outside of
yeah,
Egypt a lot, and like I think very harshly oftentimes. I think he's a brilliant player, and I think he's done dirty to be honest.
yeah,
But this is the first time where we've seen Egyptians themselves be like, "Yo, man, what's wrong with you? Like, you don't love our team. Like, why aren't you committing to us? Like, why don't
yeah,
you care about us?" And it was interesting speaking to some of the Egyptians. Like the press conference before the last game, they were like, essentially most of the questions were just like, "How do you respond to the criticism? Like, why do you think you don't play as well for Egypt?" And like, I was speaking to an Egyptian journalist. He said that's never ever happened. Like, it's
yeah.
never happened that an Egyptian journalist has asked him a negative question. So it was interesting. Like,
The
and
tide is
then
turning.
exactly, it's turning. It's oh man, like yeah, that game was bonkers. Like yeah, just like
Yeah,
Kudus scoring those brilliant goals, and then Ghana just being an absolute joke. Egypt looking better when Salah came off. Like it just kind of had everything, and yet somehow neither team won. It's just yeah, oh, I loved it.
Honestly, Mamouche was fantastic that game, and he was the clear danger man. And Dean said, "It's like Ghana. If you want to see this game up, don't let him get the ball." And what did they do? They let him get the ball
They literally
consistently.
just gave him the ball. Like,
Yeah,
not even let him. Like, they gave it. Like, oh my goodness,
yeah.
Ghana, man.
Um, Cape Verde, by far and away the most entertaining team. Them, to be honest, I think them and South Africa have probably been the most entertaining teams, I think, for me. But yeah, they beat the snot out of Mozambique. There was no competition there at all. But some of the goals, um, Bebe's goal was just out of this world. And this is what we talk about players, coming to the AFCON and just discovering stuff that we never knew they could do. Even though Bebe's always had that shot in them kind of thing, I don't think he's ever scored a goal like that before. And then Pina's goal was just out of this world. I mean, I don't know what else we
So
can really
good.
say about this other than the fact that I don't think anybody wants to play Cape Verde in the knockouts. Actually, to be honest, nobody wants them.
With, without a doubt, Cape Verde is so funny. Like, I mean, Bebe is the one who's so funny because watching him live, he'll like his movement is so good. He'll drift out wide, pull a defender, like they'll play a long ball up. He'll have an amazing touch, nutmeg a defender, dribble past another person, and then like shoot it, like 20 yards over the goal into the stands. Like he's just this enigma of being simultaneously brilliant
Yeah,
and absolutely terrible. But yeah, that second game, Cape Verde was so funny because against I was kind of looking at the stats and in against Ghana in the first game, they created the highest XG of any game at the tournament at that point. I think they created like 2.99.
hmm
It was all like these amazing chances,
yeah,
cutbacks, like really, really like just in and around
yeah,
the 6 yard box, blah blah. Next game they're like, nah, like we're just gonna hit bangers from 30 yards. Like we don't care about kind of
yeah.
creating good chances or anything. We're just gonna score wonder goals. We don't, that. And I loved it. Yeah, man,
Honestly,
Cape
they
Verde have
told the
been.
XG nerds,
I love it.
you can get.
Yeah, exactly. They said take your numbers and get out of here. Like, oh, yeah, honestly, Cape Verde have been my favorite team to watch. I have absolutely loved watching them. They're brilliant.
For sure. Senegal, um, I, Senegal, there's so much we can say about them, but what I do tend to enjoy about them the most is that the chances they create always seem to fall to their best players, which is, I wouldn't say it's rare for international football, but there's so much work goes into limiting space for all these like world stars that play in these big leagues and whatnot kind of thing. And Senegal are just like, well, no, Sar's gonna score today. So is Mane. You know what I mean? There's nothing to do about it. But I feel like the main talking point here is the fact that this was Onana's first game in the AFCON after he obviously missed the first one, and he did nothing to suggest that he should be playing in the next game, basically.
And it's so like this whole Onana thing is an absolute joke. And we're recording this right before Cameroon play Gambia in their last group game, and I have it on fairly good authority that he won't even be playing in this third game. They're going to go back to Ondoa. Now I'm sure a lot of people will listen to this after that game, so they can tell me
Yeah,
in retrospect if I was wrong about that and he actually played.
yeah,
But it's an absolute joke. Like Cameroon are just it's just like it's
yeah,
just an
man.
absolute joke. Like Rigobert song is not like what they're trying to do at Cameroon is try and do exactly what Senegal have done, right? They've kind of got trying to build
Mm,
this connection between the federation and the coach, a coach who's got a lot of respect, a lot of pedigree playing in Europe, and then they want to just give him lots of time and say, like, okay, even if the first few years are rough, we're gonna give you a lot of time, and that's how Senegal did it, and it was brilliant, right? Like they had a few,
yeah,
they didn't look good when Aliou Cisse took over, and even like last
mm,
AFCON when they played, they won it, but they looked really rubbish, to be honest. It was one of
yeah,
the worst teams to win an AFCON in terms of the performance. Whereas now they're cooking. Like they look so good. Whereas the problem is Cameroon. I just don't think Rigobert Song is like as good a coach as Aliou
no,
Cisse. I don't think he's as good as a tactician, and I just don't think he's a coach. And so it means you just got this like chaotic situation where I think they've overturned 18 players from the World Cup like just over
wow,
a year ago. I think it's 18 new players in this team, and like I get it again. Like there's parts of it I get because they've gotten these young players. They've got like the base of a team that could go, become good in the future. Players like Christopher Wu, Pemi Mumbanga, who just signed from Marseille. Like, there's some pieces there, and then but yeah, man, it was men against boys. Senegal said, "This is how you play football. This is how you run a federation. This is how you do business." And they
that's
yeah they took them to the cleaners. Honestly, it was Senegal were
It
just
weren't
they're
close.
a joy to watch.
It weren't.
It wasn't
It
close.
weren't close. Guinea beat Gambia, and I for one would love to see um one of the Guineas, another one of the Guineas in the in the knockout stages for sure. Look, they're in good shape. Look, Cameroon have 1 point. Guinea have already have four. Essentially, a draw sees them through. Um, I hope they get it, but a part of me feels like there's some more drama to come, for sure. I
Honestly,
don't
you
want to
can't rule
call
it
it.
out.
Yeah,
Yeah, and let me say this: Cameroon are a terribly run organization at the moment. They don't look
yeah,
like they have any direction, but that is where Cameroon thrives.
yeah,
This is the same country that in 2017 rocked up to the AFCON, had eight of their best players, including like Joel Matip, players like that, refused to go to the
yeah,
AFCON. On like the week before the AFCON, they bring in all these random players and then they win. And Christian Bassagog, who no one had ever heard of before,
yeah,
gets player of the tournament and like balls out, looks like Messi. So this is the one thing is I know Cameroon are
yeah.
somehow gonna beat Gambia, somehow gonna get through. Now I think they will. I don't think they're gonna go far, but I just like you said, I don't. There's still more to come. I don't think this story is finished. It's I
No,
never
not
kind
at
of
all. And I think
fully believe Cameroon are down.
yeah, and the thing is, even if Guinea obviously lose to Senegal, I think 4 points is more than enough for one of the fourth place best teams. Like it's more than enough, honestly. Third place best team, sorry. Um,
Yeah, I know the
well,
math is
yeah,
complex, and we all have to get our
it
calculators
is.
to calculate the third place. But I think Guinea are through. I think
Yeah,
even if they come
yeah,
third. But yeah, exactly. I was there with like five journalists yesterday after the Cote d'Ivoire game, and we were spent like 10 minutes, all of us like their laptops out
with
trying to figure out.
calculators.
Okay, well if Ghana does this, da, da, da. Unfortunately, Ghana pulled through. Ghana got the
Yeah,
draw. Which
yeah,
knocked them out, and because I really want Cote d'Ivoire to stay in the tournament, just because,
yeah.
I mean,
They're
let
the
me
home
tell you,
team. They're the home
yeah,
team.
exactly. Yesterday, I would say 75% of people were wearing Cote d'Ivoire kits. I've never been in a country where so many people wear the home like the kit.
Yeah,
Unbelievable. Everything is orange. Everything today. I haven't
no
seen a
one.
single person wearing a Cote d'Ivoire kit. No one. And
No
even like it was
way.
gray this morning. It rained for the first time I've been here. Like even the gods knew that it's a sad day in Ivory Coast. So yeah, I'm still
Wow.
praying that they get through. I'm still fingers
Wow.
crossed they still
Three
get through.
points might do it. You never know. 3 points might do it. Um, Another one of the big teams that are supposed underperforming. Algeria drew 2-2 with Burkina Faso. I don't know what they have to do to essentially stop this rot, because to me they have so much talent there. And I look at the players that they bring off the bench, and I'm thinking, how are Algeria, despite it being actually in AFCON, how are Algeria in this mess? They have a reliable goal scorer. They have one of the best reliable international goal scorers, should I say, which is very important in these tournaments. And they have someone who's essentially won them this tournament before, and they can't even put it together. What is happening?
I think for me the biggest thing with Algeria is they just haven't been able to manage the transition between this older generation and their young guys, right? Like,
Yeah.
I think obviously they had that brilliant 2019 AFCON, and then they kind of had this
Mhm.
massive failure, both of the AFCON last year, but more, I think, so the World Cup. I think the World Cup was their kind of like big thing. Is they were like, I think essentially they wanted to do what Morocco did, a home
Yeah,
tournament
yeah.
in the Arab world, blah, blah, blah. Like, and so that knocked him. But I would have thought that after that, Jamal Belmadi, who I think is a good coach, would have
Hmm.
like started that integration process, started bringing through some. Because yeah, like you said, you look at the bench. Some of these guys, like Farid Shaibi, Mohamed Amoura, Adam Ones, like
Oh, I didn't get off
even
the
Hassan
bench.
Awari. Yeah, exactly. He didn't even get off the bench, and so for me, it's like what? So yeah, I think Algeria will be back. I think next tournament 2025. I think especially because it's in Morocco, there'll be some fire in their bellies, and they'll have a
Yeah.
younger, more exciting team. But they could have had that this tournament, but I think it's
Yep.
just they haven't been able to kind of integrate the young guys and look, these old guys, these geezers are good enough to get you through the qualifiers comfortably, especially because they were in quite an easy qualifying group with Tanzania and Uganda and Niger. But
Yeah.
once you get to the competition, like yeah, they're all cooked.
Different
Like
story.
especially Mahrez, he looks at him and Feguli in particular just look absolutely cooked. Yeah, they just don't have any kind of spark to them.
I won't lie to you. Feguli still being at this level. is remarkable to me at this point, at least anyway. I didn't think he'd still be a main guy for Algeria. So that's maybe that's a good and bad thing depending on how you look at it. But
True.
yeah, I think the next game, Mauritania, sorry, against Angola. Angola are a fun team, and I really think I'm not gonna cast any sort of finality over them, but I really think they've got another big result left in them in this tournament. And look, Gelson got 2 goals the other day, and I honestly think he probably played less with 4.
Honestly,
Yeah,
yeah. I'll be honest. This game, much to my shame, after the game before it, I went back to my apartment and I fell asleep. And I
yeah,
woke up because there's a fan zone maybe like 200 meters from my place,
yeah.
and the goals were so good that the random Ivorian fans were like had just gotten so into the game that their cheering woke me up. So I like quickly ran down to watch the rest of the
Yeah.
game because it was mad. Like this game was just madness. Like yeah,
They
and
just
I
couldn't.
agree with you. I think I yeah, like absolute bangers first of all from Mauritania.
Yeah,
Like oh my goodness, that Koita goal. Oh, good lord.
yeah.
But then yeah, I think you're totally right, man. Angola,
I,
like defensively quite solid, and then they have this really kind of exciting kind of front line. Mabalulu, Jelson, Zini. We haven't seen the best out of him yet, but I think there's a lot to this team. And what's crazy as well is coming into this tournament, probably their best player is Zito Luvumbu, who didn't even start this game. He had to come off the bench. So
nope.
I think you're right. This is a fun team, and I think there's still goals in them. And I'm really excited to watch. I'm going to be here. I'm here at Yamoussoukro, and I'll be watching them later today, and I'm really excited.
Oh, great stuff, man. Um, so I suppose we're getting closer towards what everybody came here for. I suppose. Look, Tunisia, Mali, and Morocco and Congo both drew 1-1, and I think the most interesting thing out of both these fixtures is more the fact that Morocco couldn't find a way to get over the line against against Congo. Um, they should obviously still go through. They're on 4 points already, but how far do you think Morocco are still after watching everyone enough from it? Do you think Morocco are still the outstanding favourites?
I don't personally. I
Yeah,
think Senegal are still. I think
yeah,
Senegal are just the most complete, most efficient. Like you said, they like even when players like Mane aren't playing well, right place, right
yeah,
time, boom, goal. Like
yeah.
whereas I think Morocco, like, look, don't sleep on DR Congo either. I honestly, I think they have a semi-final run in them. I really like
Mm-hmm.
this team. I really think their coach is really good, Sabra. I think he's turned them around, and I think their front line is awesome. Like Wissa,
Yeah.
Bongonda, Kakuta, and
Kakuta,
Bakambu. Bakambu obviously is not he's quite hot and cold, but Wissa cooks, man. Wissa's so good. Oh, I love watching him play.
Kakuta is one of the best players here by far.
I love it.
Easily one of the best players here.
The black the Black Zidane, as his nickname was when he was a kid. Like I love it, and he's finally fulfilling that potential at the AFCON at least. Maybe not in Chelsea when he was there, but yeah. So I think for me, Morocco, I was really surprised. They were quite ponderous. I think they have a bit of an issue.
Yeah,
I think in a couple positions. So I think like Saiss is just a bit old, so like he's not got the same mobility he once did. And then obviously
yeah,
both Mazraoui and Atia Allah are injured, so they don't. They're on their third left back, Shibi, who's right-footed, and same with Selim Al Mala. I'm not convinced, but like I still think they're one of the best teams. I think that right side of theirs is one of the strongest in world football. Like Ziyech,
yeah.
Hakimi, and Onahi, they're just the
I think
understanding
I
between
think I
those three
agree.
is
Yeah.
insane. Yeah. So I think for
Um,
me, Morocco, I would still have them as second favorites right now, but for me,
mhm.
I don't think they're favorites. I think still it's Senegal. But of course, the thing I love is if Morocco top this group, they'll be on opposite sides of the bracket. So at the very least, we could be getting an absolute banger of a final if both of them get to the final.
Yeah, but I mean Nigeria has something to say about that. So yeah, no,
Oh
I'm
yeah,
joking.
sorry.
Zambia and Tanzania played out another 1-1 draw.
Let's give some background to this game.
Yeah, Zambia and Tanzania played out a 1-1 draw here, and unfortunately, this is one of the games I.
Let me just quickly say something about Tanzania. Okay, this is an absolutely wild story. Okay, so for those who don't know, Morocco and Algeria, their governments have a lot of beef, right? And it kind of stems back to
yeah,
lots of issues, but mainly around the Western Sahara and how Algeria supports Western Sahara's claim to independence, and Morocco doesn't want them to become independent at all. Far more complex than that, but that's briefly what it is. So there's a lot of like tension between the two countries. There is, oftentimes you can't travel between the two, the borders closed, etc. Tanzania's coach, Algerian guy Adel Amrouche, he says before the tournament in an interview, I think with Algerian state TV, and then does it also in a press conference. He says essentially, "Oh, CAF is in Morocco's pocket. Morocco get to choose the referees,
mm,
get to choose where they play.
mm.
Like blah blah blah. Morocco are in control, in charge." Which whether they do it illegally or not isn't super far from the truth. They have a lot of influence that probably more than any other country on the continent. But then after the first game in which Morocco thrashed his Tanzania 3-0, the Moroccan FA makes a complaint to CAF, and then CAF bans him for eight matches. Okay, so first of all, it's just
Wow.
like quite funny because it plays into his narrative completely. Like, oh, I think Morocco has too much influence at CAF. Morocco complains, CAF bans him. But anyway, so then Tanzania immediately fire him because they're essentially like, well, if you can't coach us, we don't want you. And the guy they replaced him with is one of the backroom coaching staff. So now the caretaker coach for Tanzania for the last two games, his name is Hamed Morocco. I kid you not. His name is Morocco. He's Tanzanian, but his name is Morocco. Like,
Oh my god.
yeah, absolutely. Like, I don't even know. Like, yeah, God has a humor, man, because the fact that that could
Yeah,
be
for
the
sure,
guy's
man.
name who took over a guy like, yeah, Tanzanian, nothing to do with Morocco, not North African, nothing. But anyway, that's a bit of a side note. If I'm honest, aside from maybe teams that I expect to do badly, like Egypt and Ghana, sorry, not Egypt, more Ghana. Zambia for me have been the biggest
Mm.
disappointment of this tournament. I thought they were dreadful against
Yeah,
Congo. Really, really lucky to get a draw. And against Tanzania were the better side again. And I think Zambia got away with one again. So they're still in a position where if they get sneak a win against Morocco or even get a draw, I think that'll be enough. They'll go through as a third place team, which would be pretty shameful because this team promised so much in terms of their attacking talent, but have just been
hmm
such a letdown. I'm not gonna lie.
yeah. To be honest, I think Zambia won it when in 2012,
12.
2012, sorry, yes,
12, yeah.
and they haven't really pushed on since then.
Yeah. Despite having what I think a lot of us would call a slight golden generation,
Yeah,
they have a brilliant front three who've all played together from like under 15s all the way
mhm,
up, especially Sakala and Daka.
yeah,
They had Enoch Mwepu, who looked like one of the best midfielders on the continent before his heart issues forced him to retire.
yeah,
Like, but they didn't even qualify since 2017 until now, and so I think there was a lot of hype around the
yeah,
team, and they've just been really, really poor. But credit to them, they've been really poor, but they're still in it. Like, they
yeah,
haven't lost, so I think they've still left themselves with a chance tomorrow to get through. But we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I'm not gonna lie, Zambia have been really disappointing. I don't think they deserve to go through.
yeah. Um, okay, so I think South Africa again are another team who I think they remind me a little bit of a little bit of Angola in the sense that I wouldn't say they're unknown quantity, but there wasn't a weight of expectation that other countries had. But they've entertained the hell out of me. I can't lie. Like they've been so good to watch.
Bro, I think I mentioned this last time, but South Africa have been done such a solid by Mamelodi Sundowns and Rulani Mokoena
Yeah.
because I think 8 of their 11 players who started in their game against Namibia either play for Sundowns now or used to play for
hmm
Sundowns. I think 7 of them play for Sundowns now, and Percy Tau, who's probably their biggest star at the moment, used to play for them and now plays for Al Ahly. And so I like that is something that no other team at this competition has, where they can say,
It's that
look,
synergy.
most of our team, yeah, exactly, trains together, plays together, and not only trains
Yeah.
and plays together, but trains and plays together to an incredibly high standard. I think I mentioned this last time, but genuinely, I think Rulani Mokoena is one of the best coaches in the world. Like, brilliant, brilliant coach. And so
Yeah.
I think they played brilliant. Look, I'll be honest, I work with a lot of South Africans. Like you said, there was not any expectation, even in South Africa. Like they had
hmm
until the World Cup qualifiers, they had the longest unbeaten run coming into this tournament. Then they lost their last game against Rwanda, And like when I told South Africans that, they couldn't believe it because they just have no faith in this team because the federation is badly run. Like it's been so chaotic the last decade really. They
Mhm,
didn't qualify for the last AFCON, but what I've said about this team is I think they're a center forward away from having a run to at least the semifinals because
mhm,
I think they're a brilliant team. But Lyle Foster obviously isn't at the tournament because of his mental health issues, which is a huge blow because I rate him so highly.
mhm.
And then the Mamelodi Sundowns center forward, who's been probably the best striker in African club football over the last 5 years, Peter Shalulule, is Namibian, so he was playing against them.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I've always said is they're Peter Shalulule away from getting to the semifinals if he was South African. But then they proved me wrong in that last game, man. Like, because I thought the issue would be scoring goals, but Temba Zwane stepped up. Like, they looked so good. I think it'll be interesting because I think they will continue to play some of the better football at this tournament. But it'll be interesting to see kind of how they cope because then, like in that game against Mali, they were much the better side.
mhm.
But then when they missed the penalty, they got knocked a little bit, and then Mali's kind of quality showed in terms of their like talent, individual talent, and individual physicality. So I think South Africa, same with Congo. I think those are two that I think they could make a surprise run to the semifinals. I'm really
Essentially,
excited for it,
yeah.
especially because I can't lie. I'm sick of you West Africans and West Africans dominating. Like like
It's never
I'm
gonna
sick of
stop.
it. Yeah, exactly. I'm sick of it. And like our one East African representative, Tanzania, have probably been the worst team at the tournament. So
Yeah.
at least I need some Southern African brothers to do me a favor.
Look, Tunisia are bottom of this group, and yeah, it's not looking good for them at all. I'm not holding my breath for them at all. Um, okay, so
Tunisia, Tunisia,
yeah,
Tunisia for me is. Oh, sorry. I'll just say Tunisia for me is like the
yeah,
Grinch of football.
mm,
Like it doesn't matter who they're playing, doesn't matter how good they're, doesn't matter if it's France in the World Cup, doesn't matter if it's Namibia in the AFCON or if it's Sao Tome and Principe in the qualifiers. They're always going to play the same, which is this stodgy, really miserable type of football, wasting time. Like, and it's great to watch when they're playing France, but
mhm,
when they're playing teams that they should be dominating, especially because some of their players are really good, they have a lot of talent, but then they just choose to like perennially just play. Yeah, like I just think they're the Grinch of football. They're just one of the most defensive and kind of stodgy sides I've ever seen. When they don't even need to be, and so yeah, I don't have loads of love for this Tunisia team. Past Tunisian teams, yes, but this Tunisian team, not man, not much love for it. I'm not gonna lie.
well, so look, match day 3 has started, guys, and um, I, listen, I wanna go. We're gonna go over Nigeria very quickly because for once Nigeria aren't making any headlines. Um, Look, Nigeria beat Guinea-Bissau in a game that expects us to win. And I think we probably left about 6 or 7 goals on the pitch yesterday, which is fine because those 6 or 7 goals could be much more use in later rounds. But the second half especially, I think that's the best Nigeria have looked. That 45 minutes is the best Nigeria have looked the entire tournament. It was chance after chance. The ball moved exceptionally quickly, and it reminded me a little bit of how we used to play years back, where there was a lot of invention, there was a lot of freedom. They all played with a smile on their face. Do you know what I mean? And it's encouraging. Genuinely, it is encouraging for me to see that. That's what I really want to see from Nigeria. Play like you are Nigerian. Play with some arrogance. Play with some pride, and play free. Play free. That's it, really.
Yeah, it was interesting before. Like I said, I didn't watch this game because I was kind of watching the other game.
Yeah.
But before their match against Ivory Coast, I was at the Nigeria hotel doing interviews and stuff, and you could just see how tense everyone was, how
Mm-hmm.
stressed, how like fed up everyone was. Like it was like they had such a burden on them. But
Mm-hmm.
then after that game, going back to the hotel, everyone's joking, everyone's having a great time, like having a laugh. Like it just felt like suddenly this weight had been lifted off this
Yeah.
team. And yeah, like I was saying earlier, it's crazy to me to think that Nigeria are now one of the favorites to go deep in this tournament. And again, for me, I cannot believe I'm saying that. I mean, I'm sure you guys are all
Yeah,
happy.
of course.
But for me, it's honestly stunning. I did not see it coming. And we'll see. I mean, last tournament, Nigeria looked like probably the best team in the group stages, and then lost to another miserable Tunisia side. So we'll see.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's fair play to Pissarro, fair play to the Super Eagles.
for sure. All right, guys. Look. I'm not even gonna dress it up. Look, Equatorial Guinea beat the crap out of Ivory Coast 4-0, and I'm not sure if any. I don't think anybody saw that coming. But I think the most surprised person in the world was probably Didier Drogba.
My guy was stunned. Even the
Stressed.
first was it the first goal when it cut to the coach Jean Louis Gasset, and he was just stunned, like he couldn't believe it, like he was just like he was shook. Yeah, man, it was men against boys, man. Cote d'Ivoire just lost their heads, and Equatorial Guinea managed that game to perfection. Unreal, like
I,
craziest game. Like, I couldn't believe it. It was crazy.
I mean, think about this, right? So you create. I'm an Arsenal fan, so I've seen Arsenal create a bunch of chances this season and not score any goals, right? Ivory Coast created 22 chances and only had three on target, but they lost 4-0. But to me,
Crazy.
all I remember, because I rewatched most of this game afterwards, right? All I remember from this is that Equatorial Guinea could have probably scored more than the four that they did.
Yep.
So,
Honestly,
so
it was a that was crazy.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm really impressed with him too. Like he's finishing everything. Like he's probably been the best player in the tournament this so far. I think.
Which is absolutely wild. I
Yeah.
love it. The last thing I would say on that is so I watched that game. We decided to like watch it in a fan zone rather than go to the stadium. Partially also because I wanted to cover the Egypt Cape Verde game, which was in the other stadium. And they like the main stadium that Cote d'Ivoire have been playing at in Nigeria is like, oh, it's a pain in the ass to get to. It takes like 3 hours to get there.
Wow.
From Abidjan. So we are like, okay, let's watch it at a fan zone near the other stadium, and then we'll go to the other stadium. Let me tell you, before the game started, it was a huge party. Like Cote d'Ivoire, like oh, Ivorians love dancing. It was amazing. Like the music was brilliant. They had a DJ. They had like in this fan zone. It was awesome. End of the game, first of all, it was almost completely empty because everyone had just left. But like tables were overturned, chairs were broken, like people were just losing their minds, just throwing shit. Like it was, yeah, it was crazy. I couldn't believe it. How like the difference between the beginning of the game and the end, like it was so much anger. Not anything like violent towards people. Like I didn't feel unsafe or anything, but like there was so much like vandalism. And this morning we drove past the Ivorian Football Federation's offices just by chance. And I noticed they had like set up like 20 like soldiers and policemen that weren't there yesterday, but were
Wow.
suddenly there. Like, and the street was closed. Um, so it's like
Okay,
just tells you how angry
that is
this
wild.
country is.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why the AFCON seems to keep throwing up all these surprises. And what's crazy for us as viewers is that we tell people all the time that you can never really guess what's going to happen in this tournament. But even then, knowing that we're going to be surprised, we still get surprised, and it's
We're still surprised.
it's
Yeah,
not
well,
fair.
even when you're expecting the unexpected, it's even when you're expecting the unexpected, you like you don't know what's gonna happen. It's crazy. It's like oh my goodness, yeah. It's been amazing. Honestly, this
Honestly.
tournament has been fantastic. I've loved it.
And we're not letting up there because in the other group now, Mozambique and Ghana, right? I'm not going to say the score because everyone that's listening should know the score by now already. But scoring two goals in added time, I personally think should result in you winning the game. I'm sorry, like you should just relinquish, relinquish whatever hold you had on the group, whatever, and give it to the other
Yeah.
team because that's unacceptable. It's so unacceptable, honestly.
Oh my
I don't
goodness.
know where to blame. Like
Ghana are
okay,
just
do we blame Ofori? I don't know.
comical.
I don't
I
know. Who
think
do you like? Who do
for
you,
me, obviously, there's like a huge amount of kind of anger at Ofori. I get it, but like he's not the reason they didn't win.
yeah,
He's not the reason that they did terribly in this competition. And like if I think as football fans, particularly when I'm in the UK, we put so much value in corners. Like you think about the XG of a corner, it's like less than
Yeah.
1% or something crazy like that. Like so it's not like he's like given up
Mhm.
this golden chance. Yeah, it was stupid, but yeah, for me, it kind of it doesn't surprise me. And it almost makes me happy because Ghana has been so badly managed as a country.
Mhm.
And I even feel quite bad for Chris Hughton because he's been on our podcast. I really like him. He's a really lovely guy, and I think he's had a hard time in the UK as a coach and as a player. Like particularly talking about like stuff around race and stuff. So I have a lot of sympathy for him. But like he didn't manage it
Mhm.
particularly well. But mainly this federation is just an
No.
absolute joke. Ghana is so badly managed. Like, and it's. I hope this is what it takes to get them to clean house, to reset. It almost certainly won't, but it's what is needed because Ghana has just been such a joke for like 5-10 years now, and it's so hard to think that
Well.
10, 15 years ago they made it to what, six semifinals in a row or something like that. Like they were
Mhm.
like insane, and now they're just an absolute joke. Two tournaments back to back being knocked out, back to back being knocked out by like one a debutant in Comoros and two a team in Mozambique that have never won a game in the AFCON. Like it's just it's humiliating.
Do you know what I think is the answer here? The IU brothers just can't be in the squad anymore. Even for the up and coming
Yeah,
qualifiers
they
now,
need to move them on.
just
Yeah,
they can't
I
get any
agree.
more caps.
And
It doesn't make any more sense.
you know what the wild thing is, people were calling for that. Not so much me, but people were calling for that in Ghana for the last AFCON. So people were calling for them both to be moved on to the last
Hmm.
AFCON. Since then, they both played at the World Cup, both played at the next AFCON. Like it's just crazy, like that they're still so involved, and it's ruining
Honestly,
their
man.
like, particularly Andre's stellar reputation. Man, like this guy was brilliant for Ghana, and now he's
Yeah.
going to be remembered as the captain who got sent off against Comoros, gave away a penalty against Mozambique. Like, yeah, man,
Hmm.
yeah, what a mess, what a mess.
When you talk about overstaying your welcome, I think he's the poster boy for it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Um. And look again, Cape Verde, Egypt. I quickly ran upstairs, right, because I thought, okay, the game's done. And I was quickly just getting ready for the next day. And then I switched on. I looked at my phone and I was like, hold on a second, another goal alert. Oh, Egypt got another got something to ice the game. So that's what I thought at least anyway. And it ends up being a neutralisation for Cape Verde. Um, at that moment, I wasn't sure who was going through. I was just so confused at
Honestly, it was
everything.
crazy. Yeah, I know, bro. I was the exact same. I had to leave the stadium to do a match report for CNN,
Yeah.
and so I had to like go to a hotel nearby to record it. So I was like, as soon as it hit 90 minutes, I started leaving the stadium, and then I kind of turned around right at like the kind of gates to leave the terraces,
Yeah.
and suddenly Egypt score, and then yeah, so I ended up standing at that one spot rather than after leaving my seat for like 10 minutes because
Mhm.
then I stayed until Cape Verde scored, and I was like, what on earth? Like there was 4 goals in added time in those 2 games,
Yeah.
or like, and every single goal changed the permutations of what would happen in the group. Like every goal
Exactly.
mattered. Every goal changed. Like I was, just absolutely insane. Yeah,
Uh,
honestly, yesterday was one of the craziest days of football I've ever witnessed. It was unreal.
I genuinely think, and I'm not saying this just because I'm an African or but I don't think any other tournament that I watch really gets me going the way AFCON does. Like genuinely, like there's years and years of watching it growing up and whatnot. But I just in general, like this the unpredictability of it, the crazy types of goals, all of the drama of all of the federations. Because there's no federation in the AFCON that's completely and utterly just plain sailing. Everyone's got problems. You know,
Yep, I love it. I love
it's
it.
pure
Honestly,
it's pure
it's
cinema.
magic. Yeah, I
So
love it. It's the if you yeah, like you say, cinema. There's nothing that can beat it.
no,
Honestly, I
no,
don't know any other tournament that can have the drama that yesterday. It's
no,
unreal.
not at
Like,
all.
and the fact that it means so much to every country as well.
Yeah,
Like, oh my goodness, like this entire country came to a standstill yesterday. It's unreal. Like driving after the Ivorian game, we were worried we wouldn't be able to get to the stadium in time for the next game. There wasn't a car on the road.
oh
It was
wow,
the easiest time I've had with traffic here because everyone had just like stopped. Everyone had gone home. Like everyone was so depressed. Like, yeah, that's man, the
wow.
magic of football, magic of Afcon. I love it.
Looking ahead, look, we've got we've got Cameroon. Um, Cameroon against Gambia later, and then Guinea versus Senegal, and then Mauritania versus Algeria, and Angola versus Burkina Faso. Cameroon and Algeria have have the potential to do the funniest thing today, and I really, really hope they follow through with it. I mean, you've seen your age mates in Ghana and Egypt last night, guys. Just give us something like sorry in Ghana and Ivory Coast. Give us something close to that, and I'll be happy, man.
I'll be so happy. Algeria, I don't think will. I think they are too good. But man, Cameroon, I can see them drawing with Gambia. I can see it happening, and I would love it. Like, because not only would it make Cote d'Ivoire get through, but also it would make Cameroon like and just bring an end to this absolute nonsense that has been Cameroon in the AFCON. Because it's just
Yeah.
been bonkers, been absolutely crazy. Yeah, man, I can't wait. I cannot wait.
Guys, you know where to where to find us on the whistle OTW underscore podcast. And obviously us for the Shirtless Man Clean Show. I've been Coach Alasdair. Alasdair, do you want to tell them peace?
Peace. Oh yeah. Oh, sorry. How do you guys do it? You say it together?
Peace. Yeah,
Peace.
it's
Yeah.
fine.
Sorry. I'm working on it. I'm working on it.